Hi everyone, Ian from DIY Home and Gardening, taking refuge momentarily in the shed. It is the 8th of January and I suppose I'm doing a bit of an experimental video. No, an experiment, and I'm videoing it. Let's get it right. So let me show you. So this is last year's crop, or some of last year's crop. So this is Autumn Champion, and probably like so many of us, we end up with quite a good harvest, or a good harvest, and you get the odd one or three onions that have all started sprouting like this by this time of year, because we've obviously lifted them back in June, July. And you know, essentially this is a bulb. You know, it's a bulb, it's developing roots already. It's a bulb that wants to produce more plants. You know, normally this sort of thing gets chucked away, but really, what can you do with it? And I asked this almost as a bit of a rhetorical question, because you could just chop it up and use the tops as onion foliage or onion flavouring tops, or you could still use it. And when I was having a look as to what you can do with these, what happens if you replant them, well, you kind of get a myriad of YouTube videos that just show either someone cutting this up into pieces to get out the middle section and growing it as tops, or planting it and growing it as tops. It's only ever shown as a quick snapshot as to what they're doing, and I suppose the anticipation of getting some tops, without actually doing a full video on it. So I've got plenty of time whilst I'm kind of taking refuge from the rain. I've got space on my plot and I have onions, so let's do a proper test, shall we? So there we are. I've got three big boys, all showing signs of good growth, and as I say, having ended up watching quite a few different YouTube videos, there's all different takes on what you should do. Most of them just involve literally cutting the onion to pieces and planting pieces of it, essentially planting what would be the internal bulb sets. There's others where you just cut the bottom off and do an experiment on that. So 3 onions, let's try 3 different methods. So armed with a makeshift chopping board, a knife and some bulbs. Obviously sharp knife, be careful. Let's set the camera up and have a little look. Right, okay, chopping board set up, let's go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use one of these and literally just plant it out as is. I don't know which one really, not that it makes a lot of difference. Let's just peel the covering just to check. Seems alright. You can tell it's getting a bit past its use by date because it is going wrinkly, much like all of us. So just have a little look. That feels fine. So this is going to be the one that I'm going to plant out. I'm going to plant it literally as it is. So we'll pop that to one side. This one got slightly dodgy covering, but actually looks all right. Having a quick look at it, I mean, it's got a singular section, so yeah, would obviously be decent. But what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to go, this will be our method 2, which is cutting into half, or cutting the bottom section off. So don't judge my cutting skills. I'm not a chef. Right, so this top piece, I'll take that home, we'll use that. And I'm going to plant this just like that, see what happens. This one is going to be more fiddly, which will involve peeling. And should, according to all the YouTube videos that I've seen, you have to find the inner layers of the bulb and be able to separate out the well, essentially the growing plants of it. Let's have a little look. So again, for this, I cut off the bottom, but right at the very base, because that should help show, which it doesn't, where the new plants are. And as I say, it's, you know, is it wasteful? I'm not really sure. Most people just discard all their food once it starts sprouting, which is totally wasteful. This bit of an experiment really to see how we can use things, and indeed whether once they're like this, the best method or best course of action to still keep them as usable. You know, if we get to that point where actually you can just find that by replanting them, it's very usable and gives you good crops, then that's what I'll do in future. Right, so I'm just being a little bit careful because you can now see there's signs of division. Right, so separate that. I am saving the good skin, if you like. Right, so there you can see we've got two nice sections. There probably is a third there, you know. Do I risk it? No, let's just peel one more layer. And that achieved absolutely nothing but taking off his second layer, and that's where the division is. So divided it up. I'm not going to divide this one any further, so potentially from that bulb, or that onion bulb, I'll come and get off, I've got three pieces that I'm going to plant. So that's one piece, or one plant. Then that's going to be my next one, which I'll just take off the last of that bit of skin, and that one. So again, I'll just take off this outer layer, and then they're all been treated equally without that protective coating to them. Got this sort of slippery membrane bit, which we'll just whip off. Right, three types of onion, or three preparation methods. Let's go and do some planting. Right, got the gloves on. given this area a weed and a level, much like I would do for any other planting, and got 3 types here, there and there. So this is our regular one, so standard planting, top level with top of soil and lightly firm. So that's that one done. And this one, don't want it to rot, so that is literally just going to be firmed in with the soil around it. And then these ones again plant as per the first one, so that the foliage or the top of plant is level with soil. So we just get them in, plant those as a 3, like so. And like so, again lightly firm around. Let's have a bird's eye view, shall we? Right, so there we have it. So whole bulb, base of bulb, parts of bulb, and that is how they sit. Just move the fork out of the way and cover down. And then I guess we'll just have to come back from time to time and see what happens and what the verdict is. Okay, so we're middle of March, and I just thought I'd show you how the onions are progressing. So this is all part of the experiment. So these 3 were the onion that was stripped down or stripped of its scales to reveal the 3 individual growing sections of the onion. Then we got that piece there, which was the onion that was essentially cut down to the base or the root zone of the onion bulb. And as you can see there, actually most of the onion has now rotted away to leave that hollow, and just essentially the inner core, which has grown to form plants not too dissimilar from that. And then the last section, which is that, or the last one, so that, if you remember, that was the plant or the onion bulb that was planted as a whole without any cutting or anything like that. So you can see that that has produced a lot of top growth. Be interesting to see whether it bulks up or anything, but it definitely looks as though it's sort of undergoing some sort of division really in terms of its habit. So you got one clear section there and another clump coming off to the side. So yeah, that's where we're at, middle of March update, which is just over 2 months from when they were first set out. So I've come up the allotment this morning, and you can see that all the normal onions are ripening, and the fact that they've collapsed at the neck there tells you that they're now getting ready for lifting. So with that in mind, we're not going to look at those. We're going to look at these, which were my onion experiment, if you like, which I started these back in January, same time as planting all the other onions. The difference being with these is that whilst these were grown from sets, these were literally planted from onions that had been saved from last year, whole onions, because on YouTube videos, there's loads of YouTube videos that all show people doing varying things to the saved onions, and then it cuts to the fact that they've got foliage and don't waste the onions because they are so great for the following year, multi-use, and you can get good plants and all the rest of it. So I thought, well, let's try it. Let's try the methods that are being shown in these YouTube videos. So I had 3 onions. That onion there, which is essentially my standard practice, it's the trial one, or I can't think of the term, but it's our normal onion that we're sticking with. Nothing's been done to it at all. So literally planted the whole onion as was. Then we got this middle one where the onion was cut, just leave the very basal cells, and planted just so, to see what happened to that. And then I've actually got these 3. So these were derived from a singular onion that then had all the outer scales peeled back to reveal where essentially the bulbils were forming on the inside, which gave 3 individual sprouting type plants. So each of those 3 were planted, and well, that's the result. So what I thought I'd do now is dig them up, because they're all going to flower and to seed. Well, these 2 are, that middle one isn't, and just thought I'd see what the net effect is, see whether it was worth planting the whole onion. Fork at the ready. So we'll start with the control one. Oh, look at that, I remembered the name. That's pretty amazing to start with. So this is the control bulb, planted where the bulb, there's one piece, nothing done to it, so none of them have had anything done to them other than watering. So we got our control, and as you can see, it's essentially divided itself, which we can separate out. Divided itself out into multiple pieces, none of which are any good really, well, not for using. So they haven't formed a bulb that's suitable for eating, because essentially the root and the shoot has become one of the same, cleaned up. So we've ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 pieces of a root zone with flowering stems. So that's our control one. Next, well, let's bring this closer. That's pretty obvious that that's not produced much at all, but strangely enough it's produced bulbs that look more like an onion bulb, a juvenile onion bulb. So that's our other one. Let's set, well, camera up again, otherwise it's not going to be particularly good. Can't even find it. Oh yeah, there we are. There's the last one, and then we'll take these out. So these were taking a bulb and dividing it up into its individual sprouting sections. So we got 1, 2 and 3. So again, what has this proved? Well, we've gone from having 3 individual pieces which were within the original bulb. Again, there's nothing that's actually useful amongst this, but we've ended up with, strange enough, oh, that's broken, 1, 3, 7, and then these couple. So we've ended up with 9 sections, again, none of which of use, of shoots with flower heads on them that will only serve to produce seed. So at the end of, what are we, the end of 6 months worth of growing these as the essentially the YouTube Instagram trial, we've learned that planting leftover bulbs of your onions is an absolute waste of time, unless you're wanting to grow them to save the seed and, you know, try and grow your own onions from seed in the future. Other than that, waste of time. All you can hope to achieve from it is, I guess, as per they all show in the videos, to cut some of the foliage as it grows for eating the leaves. Which again, what's the point? You might just as well sow some spring onion seed or some chive seed and eat it that way. Save a lot of effort. Certainly save 6 months, wouldn't it? Anyway, that is it. Let me turn the camera around. We'll just show you all splayed out. Right, so finishing up, control bulb with literally nothing done to it. So that's grown itself, separated out. That's the one, literally cutting off to leave just that much of the bulb, which we planted. Most of the bulb dissolved away to just leave those 2 little bulbils. Again, pointless. This one was the one that was stripped down to reveal the 3 individual bulbils within the middle of the main bulb. And that's what's come out of it. So as you can see, that's it. So they have taken the same amount of time to grow, exactly the same growing conditions in terms of watering and feeding as my normal onions. Obviously the normal onions that are grown from sets have all produced proper onions, no flower stems, whereas these are just flower stems that would only be suitable for growing on or allowing to ripen to get some seed for sowing for next year. So that's it. Experiment over with, job done. Think it's safe to say that all the YouTube videos out there and Instagram videos out there are essentially a waste of time and are getting a lot of viewers for no apparent reason. That's my take on it anyway. So as I say, job done, video finished, experiment finished. Take from that what you like. If you got any questions on, well, I suppose what I was doing, my findings, why I was wanting to do it, then obviously send them over to me. If you like what I'm doing, not really on this video but on other stuff, or maybe this video will lead you into some of the other things I'm doing, then please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that reminder button so you don't miss out on the future videos I'm doing. And I do always say it, but it is so true, enjoy what you're doing, have fun, and if you so wish, then do your own bit of experimenting. See whether you can prove, disprove what other people tell you. See whether you can replicate things for yourself or just do it to see if you can. So, till next time, there you go. See you soon. Bye for now.